the way things are. Not with no sugarcoating, with no negativity or positivity put on top of it. It's noticing, simply noticing what is right in front of us. And then having the presence of mind, because we practiced the presence of mind, to be able to notice whether or not, how we're going to react to it. It's that simple and that hard, because it does take effort and it does take training. Because again, we're unlearning what we've learned through our whole lives, all those ways. And then once you've sort of once you've come over the hump of doing this more often than not, when you start to notice other people doing it becomes so apparent that they're choosing to do things by rote, or doing things that they've learned. Or you start to see how other people are making themselves miserable. And the most frustrating thing is you can't tell them. You can't. You can go explain this to them. If you're not ready to hear this, you're not ready to hear it. And someone will deny this up and down as if you were telling them the most evil thing in the world.
I'm living this now in my new
Yes,
world.
and we all run into those kind of people. And you know what? My advice to you, advice is too strong a word, but you might consider not even trying.
Well, they'll say, they'll be grumbling about it. I said, so-and-so, I said, well, we're all individuals, but isn't it interesting? One lady, a new lady, says, you're very diplomatic. I didn't go beyond that. I just got so. I said, it's a little different than that, but,
Well, I think the best way to handle these things is to live our lives by these principles. And people will notice. And they'll sit there and say, why are you staying happy all the time? Or why are you at peace?
Fly's going to fly in your mouth. I got that.
That's what makes people notice, not trying to tell them they should be a different way. But they look at you and they make this analysis, well, that person is happier than I am. Why is that? We're both in the same situation, sharing the same circumstances, and yet they seem to be okay and I'm not. Why am I not okay? I think that's the true lesson of just living your life, doing what you do, and being an unspoken example, because this works. These people that write all this stuff down have been telling us for thousands of years this works. And it's so funny because when you start practicing and making some headway with looking at the world as it is, and you pick up one of these books, I don't care what book you pick up, if it's any book on wisdom or any book on spirituality, if you start reading that, the things that you read will validate how you feel. A lot of people, I've had people ask me, I have hundreds of books. And people ask me, well, gee, you must know a lot because you read all these books. You've read hundreds of books on Buddhism and Hinduism and Sufism and this and that and Christianity. You must be able to quote these things. It's like, I say, I almost can't quote a line out of them because I don't read them to learn. I read them to validate what I feel. So I'll read them and go, oh my gosh, this person's talking exactly about what I feel. Oh, I must, it makes me feel good to know that someone else 1,000 years ago felt the same way I did. So I can't quote any of them. I don't know who the authors are. I can't sit there and, so-and-so said and da-da-da-da-da, because I don't read it for that information. I read it as sort of a way to steer myself. It's like when I start thinking something, I'll start picking up books and say, has anyone else ever talked about this? And then I'll finally find something that says, oh, okay. So I know, I use it as my, what would be the right word?
Litter?
Well, it's like the bumpers, that keep me on the right path. It's like if I stray too far afield, I go check a book and see whether or not, am I way out there or is it, or is somebody saying, yeah, you're pretty right on that. And so that keeps me going on the path that I'm going. So I enjoy the books because I don't try and study them. I just read them to You know, and a lot of times I just pick them up and open them up, you know, to some page, and I read it, and you know, either it makes sense to me or doesn't. You know, I have to tell you a funny story though, because you can start believing your own BS. All right, so so the other day. Well, it's a story in reverse, so I'll tell it and then sort of tie the things together. But I take a trip out to the dump with a bunch of stuff. And to me, the dump is a special place because I've had a lot of insights driving to the dump. I don't know why, but there's this stretch of road in Merlin where I've literally had insights where I've had to pull over and like take it all in. I don't know why. So I have this sort of affinity of going to the dumps. It's like, I want to go to the dumps. Maybe something will come to me. Not that it does every time, but who knows why, right? So anyway, I go to the dumps. I'm driving home, and I'm driving down Highland. And near the school, there's a little like mini mart on the right side of the road. Yeah. And there's a sign up, you know, for the store. And all the sign says is, have you checked your lottery ticket? And when I read that, all of a sudden I went, oh my gosh, I was out to dinner the other night. It was my birthday, and someone gave me a lottery ticket and a birthday card, and I had completely forgotten about it. And it was in the throwaway pile at home to throw it away. And I'm like, oh, it's a sign. I need to go home and check my lottery ticket because I bet I won. So I'm driving home. I'm like, man, the universe really works out great, doesn't it, man? If I hadn't seen that, I'd have thrown it away. I can't believe, I wonder what I won. You know, I get home, I pull out the lottery ticket, not a single number. Very humbling. Very, very humbling.
Some things are just circumstantial.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that, you know, but that in itself is a lesson, right?
Yes.
So it's like, don't get too far out there thinking that everything in the world, you know, that billboard's is trying to talk to you. Although they do sometimes.
You don't want this getting out around town.
Exactly. But I came home, I laughed, and then I went and told my wife the whole story. She got a great kick out of it, you know, because I was like, you know, it's just,
funny.
It's fun, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, we always need to be put in our place by the universe as well, and that I think was one of those circumstances where, you know, I got schooled. But,
Never too old.
that's right, never too old to go to school. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming tonight.
Thank
All
you.
right.